Harris and Trump campaigns battling for the bro vote they are taking two very different strategies on courting young male voters. So Trump's been flexing his funny bone on guy-centric podcasts like this one.
I'm good with names, you know.
You are.
You're very good with names.
I mean, Pocahontas.
Yeah.
We have names.
What about, and there was, Tampon Tim was good. What about,
The problem with Tampon Tim, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
In other words,
It's a mouthful.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Tampon. And you can't stutter it through. When you put the names together, it's a little, you got to be able to pume.
And the Harris campaign deploying Tim Walz and Doug Emhoff to offer their vision of masculinity, but it doesn't always go smoothly. So Walz and Emhoff seen here walking away from the cashier without paying after ordering from a coffee shop, leaving Walz's daughter to say that a staffer will soon be up with a credit card. And it was indeed paid for, so nobody needs to worry about that. The second dude got coffee, and Walz got iced tea, cinnamon morning bun, banana bread, and a guava Danish, which is really Gutfeld's favorite. They also just partnered with a Twitch streamer to play video games alongside a Tim Walz rally in Arizona, which actually might be brilliant, but I don't exactly know how that works. Jesse, for years, men have been told by the left that not necessary, toxic.
Well, here's the thing with Walz. When men look at him, we know he's not calm. Men know immediately if someone's uncomfortable, especially another guy, and his frantic energy freaks us out. We don't want to be around another guy with that type of energy. We can also tell he's not being honest because he's the kind of guy that tiptoes around things and he's scared to say what he really feels, and we don't like people like that. We also like bosses. He's being bossed around, and we don't respect a guy who's being bossed around. Now, Donald Trump's like an orchestra conductor with the media. Remember, I guess it was the Apprentice days, he was into the tabloid, and then he was into NBC and networks, and then he did the Fox and Friends for a while. And that elevated him, and then he rode cable pretty hard, and he got into the White House, and he did everything. And then he was banished after January 6th. It was out in the wilderness in the media. And he discovered these podcasts. And these podcast guys aren't even news guys. They're guys that are like shocked a former president would come on their show. But he goes in and he's turning out these young men that aren't even news guys. They don't even follow the news. They just see this guy not as a politician, but a cultural phenomenon. And now the Nelk boys, they're going to Penn State. They're going to throw a huge party. And I think Pennsylvania's Trump country after that.
Guys want change.
That is true, Dana. That is true. What did she mean by that? When you sit down with Trump one-to-one, it's an experience, meaning that you, like any experience, you learn from it. You will see a mindset that navigates the world. You may not like him at all, but you know that he got there for a reason, and there's stuff to be gained from that. You don't learn a thing from Kamala. There's no semblance of wisdom. It always feels like she has to be there. Not that she wants to be there or that she's even listening to you. With Walz, it's hard to even bring him up. He has a resting snitch face, you know? I mean, he forfeited his man card during COVID and the riots. And you're right. And also, at that diner, of course, he left early. So don't you find it weird that for a terrifying threat to democracy that Trump is, not a single interviewer in his history has approached him with trepidation? If anything, they come at him, often with brutal questions about lawsuits, about affairs. Everything is on the table. Meanwhile, joyful Kamala, so light and lively, wonderful. Interviewers approach her like she's an IED. You know, they tread lightly around her. Did you see Colbert and Stern? You know, I don't want to, I hope this goes well. And Oprah, they treat her like a child that was just rescued from a well. Every question is carefully worded at a snail's pace. Don't you find that strange that, like, the guy that's so dangerous, they come at, and the person that's so joyful, they tiptoe around?
Judge,
what a great point.
He's got a great point.
I came up with it on the
Would you like to add to his point?
Well, what I'd like to add is that I had to look up the world of Warcraft because I didn't know what it was. And I found out that it is like this video game, and I think they wanted to be cool with Walz. And so they have a kid playing this Warcraft game, video game. It's up on the screen while Walz is speaking. Walz doesn't learn the game. He doesn't play the game. He doesn't do anything with the game. They just have this thing up there while Walz is speaking. It's like they can't connect. Whereas Donald Trump, you just saw him. I mean, he's relatable. He's seen as cool, and he has a swagger. And, you know, this whole thing about the bros, I mean, I think it was Walz who was booed at a football game. I think it was the University of Michigan, which is supposed to be one of the blue wall states. Yeah. And, I mean, it's not even close. So you got this World of Warcraft video game that's 20 years old, and it's not even, by the way, in the top 15 games now. And
you did some research.
You gotta have Walz, who doesn't even go to war. He ditches the battalion before war and can't even make believe he's playing in a war.
Jessica, there is a huge gender gap, might be the biggest ones that we've had in several decades. And there was this morning, as I was going through, reading about the concerns that Democrats have. A lot of them have to do with the fact that they don't think that men will turn out to vote. She doesn't have to win all the men, but she needs, certainly black men, there seem to be really worried about too. Can she fix that in the next 3 weeks?
I hope so. They're definitely trying. It's top of mind with all of this, and I do appreciate the explanation of World of Warcraft, but the point was being on a Twitch stream where a majority of young men are spending their time, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Donald Trump also on a Twitch stream before we go to vote on November 5th. It's smart to go where the peoples are. Outreach, especially to black men, is something that they're focused on, things like barbershop tours, doing a lot of focus grouping in these blue wall states to talk to young men about what their lives are like, what their priorities are, the economy coming up over and over again, wanting to know specifically what is the deliverable. What did you do for me as part of the Biden-Harris administration? What will be different in the Harris-Walz administration? But I find it difficult to sit for all of these discussions about how the Democrats are blowing it with men and this is irredeemable and, you know, we're terrible and we belittle, et cetera, when the gender gap on the other side with women is bigger than the gap with men. So Donald Trump is losing to Kamala Harris with women 15 to 20 points, which is bigger than the margins of any Republicans have before. And I don't hear the Republican, you know, tour about women. I just hear him even on with Andrew Schultz, doubling down on, you know, it was good to get rid of Roe. That's no problem. I mean, Andrew Schultz set him up perfectly with a hilarious joke about how Barron is such a stud and bet you're feeling bad about getting rid of Roe v. Wade. Mm-hmm. And Trump can't even nail it because it's so ludicrous that he's a, quote, protector of women. That's the outreach to these women who are saying the Republican Party has abandoned us. They do not care about our needs. They do not understand our health. They do not understand our health care issues. They don't understand family planning. They don't even know how it works. You don't even have a heartbeat at 6 weeks.
It's hard for men to hear abortion described as family planning. I will.
Really? Would it be hard?
Because
we are talking about women.
No, let me finish. Because whenever you have to rely on a euphemism to describe the reality itself is awful. That's all I'm saying.
But
call it what it is. You're sucking a fetus out of the womb.
No, but the reality is often when you're talking about, you know, some of these third-term abortions, it's about
protecting. That's not the reality. That's what you want to tell people the reality is.
Well, no,
the reality
that is a reality in some states. But the bottom line is Donald Trump is protecting women in terms of law and order. Are you kidding me?
Law and order.
As the criminals run through this country and they're bailed out because people like Kamala Harris made a decision that we should bail everybody out.
You just said that, okay, women are overwhelmingly Democrat. There are more women voters, right? You guys you can vote for abortion. Go for it. No one's stopping you. You have to convince other women, not men. You have to convince other men to your side.
Okay, guys.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.